Hello and welcome. Spring is finally here and Easter is just around the corner. If you fancy making this cool garden decoration with me, then stay tuned now. Thank you, Marco, for taking the time for my Easter project. I hope you at home will be inspired to try it too. Would you like to tell us briefly what you've brought for me today?
Hi Toby. First of all, thanks for the invitation.
You're very welcome.
I've brought along a beautiful Easter bunny that you can put in your garden or place beside your front door. It's quite easy to put together and doesn't require many materials or tools. Anyone can give it a try.
Great!
Here, you can see at a glance what we need for our Easter bunny. We've linked the full list of tools and materials for you in the info box. Let's get started. The first step is marking out. First, we draw around the rabbit, for which you can download a template.
Exactly. And since we don't expect all of you to have a printer that can print such large sheets, we've split the template between several A4 sheets. You can simply print them out and stick them together to create the template for the big rabbit. To make the template easier to draw around, you can stick it to a heavier paper like paperboard. Then it's easier to mark it out.
Once we've finished marking out, we can move on to cutting out the rabbit.
So Marco, now that we've marked the rabbit, what do we do next?
Now we're going to cut it out. We start by using a jigsaw to cut it out roughly. Then we'll move on to the jigsaw table to cut the fine contours.
Okay, understood. Then the time has come to protect our ears and eyes. That's important.
We use the one-hand clamps to secure the workpiece to the table so the board can't move around. Of course, we check to make sure that we won't cut into anything underneath. Now the important next step is to make the rough cut. For this rough cut, we use a jigsaw blade that is perfect for fast, rough cuts. Here, I use a coarse saw blade that is suitable for rough cuts, so we can follow the contour approximately. Let's turn the board around and clamp it again. Now, I just cut it out. Okay, perfect.
In the next step, we need to cut out the rabbit very precisely. Is that right?
Exactly.
How do you recommend we do this? We can use a jigsaw table for this, but of course we can also use the jigsaw freehand. In other words, simply follow the contour freely with the jigsaw. We have some options for this precision cutting stage. There are different jigsaw blades that are suitable for these kind of fine curved cuts. For example, you can choose a saw blade that has slightly coarser teeth. With this, we can follow quite tight radii, because it has saw teeth on the trailing edge too. The advantage of this one is that it has slightly finer teeth. It's good for fine contour cuts, but it can't handle the very tight radii. The choice of jigsaw blade, in principle, depends on what you prefer and how you use it. Which one will you be working with today?
I'm going to work with the jigsaw table, and we'll be using the blade with the fine teeth.
Okay. Yes, Marco, that was really easy. The result already looks great, but our rabbit is missing something, isn't he?
That's right. He's missing the base plate. We can now cut that from the piece we had left after cutting out the rabbit.
Okay, how big do we need the base plate to be?
We want our base plate to be around 20 by 20. It doesn't have to be exact. The main thing is that the flower pot will fit on it later and that we can secure it. We can go ahead and use the universal angle and tri-square to mark it out. It already has a marking gauge built in. I just pull it back to draw a line. I do the same thing on the other side and draw a line along here. As I said, this doesn't have to be exact. It will be covered later on. It's more important that the rabbit is exact. Now we'll cut that out freehand, simply using the jigsaw or with a circular saw, whatever you have at hand. And there we have the base plate.
Perfect. So we have one rabbit and one base plate.
The next step is sanding.
What's next for our rabbit?
We need to smooth everything. In other words, sand the surface and soften the edges, so everything looks a bit rounder and not as rough.
We have different abrasives here.
Exactly. Here we have different grits you can choose from. This is a version where you can attach different hook and loop sanding papers. This is the surface sander, and you can use this, for example, to sand very fine edges. Do you want to make a start?
I'd love to.
Okay. Now we prepare the dowel joint.
Okay, Marco, we've sanded down our rabbit and base plate. The next step is to join the base plate and rabbit.
Exactly.
How do we do that?
We do that with a simple wooden dowel joint. We use these dowels, which we insert into the base plate and into the rabbit. We use the dowel master for this.
Yes.
We start with the base plate. First, we drill the dowel holes into it. I'm using a clamping table that will hold the workpiece securely for me. I need that for this step. Now we need to figure out how deep to drill into the base plate and how deep into the rabbit. For this, I have a depth stop on the drill bit that I can adjust. I can set different drilling depths. It's important to remember that here I'm drilling in like this, and here like this. But I don't have the same thickness of wood here as here, so I can go slightly deeper here, and that's how I set the stop. Can you pass me the dowel master?
Of course. There you
Do
go.
that by just looking. How deep are we going in here? You can then look here. Okay, where are we? Then we get a dowel and look. Will it roughly fit? We're still way too high here.
So we need to set this individually.
Exactly. And that setting will be slightly different for the base plate and for the rabbit, since we can't drill as deep into the rabbit. So fasten the depth stop, take a look. Okay. Now you can roughly see. This is roughly the insertion depth into the base plate, and the rest will be in the rabbit. We'll set that later. Now we take the drill bit and secure it in the cordless drill or the power drill. We position the dowel master with different drill holes. But we need to be careful now. We have an 8mm dowel hole because we're using an 8mm dowel. We need to select the right hole and then we go ahead and position it. We simply clamp the dowel master here and then we drill our hole. If we secure the dowel master like this, we automatically have the center of the board. It makes no difference where I put it. We'll see later why we can position it how we like.
Okay, super.
And now the second hole. Great. And that's it for the base plate. Now we take the board out, quickly tap it to remove the drilling dust, the drilling chips. Then we go ahead and place the dowels.
We're going to need some glue for that, aren't we?
That's right. We add a little bit of wood glue to the hole, not too much, so the dowel can be inserted too. Now we can tap it in, but not so far that we don't have any length left for the rabbit. Now we need to adjust the dowel master to the board thickness. We do this by taking the 8mm hole we used before and placing this hole on the dowel.
I see.
Now we can adjust this stop here. We adjust it to the board thickness, push it in and secure this here. Then we place the base plate here. It doesn't have to be 100% exact. I just have to know roughly where I want to put the base plate. Now I take the dowel master here with the stop already adjusted.
Yes.
I place it here and can now align the base plate with it. Here's the line I drew. I can align the base plate with this so I know it's roughly in the middle, And now I have the right setting for the distance to the bottom. Now I clamp the board, and here on the Dowel Master I have a guide for the 8mm drill bit. I can simply insert it here now.
That's really practical.
Isn't it? And now I can drill in here. But there's something else that requires attention. Something we adjusted earlier, and that's the depth stop for the drill bit. I can't just drill into the rabbit like I did with the base plate.
Yes.
Because I'd go through it. Of course, I don't want that. So now I need to set the depth stop. I'll show you how I do that again. Do you see this here? And now you can set that here so you don't go through. Now we secure the drill bit again. And now I can simply drill here. Pull the drill bit out in between so the chips can come out. And just like that, I have the holes exactly where I need them.
And it's really going to match up, Marco.
Try it.
Okay, it's a perfect fit.
Yes.
Marco has trustingly given me the job of painting. That's okay, there's not much that can go wrong there.
So, while the rabbit is drying, we can go ahead and paint the clay pot. We've chosen red, but that's just a design choice. You can decide for yourselves whether you want to use the same colours. Done.
Now we use our templates to mark out the rough details of the stomach, ears and eyes. Simply transfer the outlines and paint in the features with a brush. And this is what our work of art looks like now. Now we can proceed with the assembly. Now we've painted everything.
That's right.
Our rabbit is finished. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It's a real eye-catcher.
I agree.
What do we do now?
Okay, first let me explain a little about the colour scheme. We decided that the pot would kind of be the Easter Bunny's backpack, because we added red straps here, and it looks like we're carrying the pot as a backpack. Now, what we need to do is join the individual parts together. We already have the dowels inserted from before. We have to join the two parts together, but before we do that, we have to do something about the fact that the board is flat on the ground. Since we want to put it outside, we have to raise it a little off the ground. This means that if it rains, the water won't penetrate straight into the wood.
Okay.
You can find these feet in all good hardware stores. You hammer them in here, and then the base plate is raised off the ground and will no longer be sitting in water.
There we go. Perfect.
So, now we glue everything up. For this, we apply the glue here. You don't need to be too exact, but don't be too heavy-handed, or there'll be lots squeezed out at the sides later. Spread the glue with a brush, any one you have to hand, to distribute it a little. Most glues are transparent once they dry, so the white won't be visible afterwards. In other words, if a little bit of glue squeezes out, it's not a big deal. One thing you do need to consider when gluing is that we want to put the Easter Bunny outdoors.
Yes.
So we need waterproof glue. These also go by special names, like D3 glue. Then you know it's waterproof. You should keep this in mind when buying the glue for this project. A little more glue in the dowel holes, and then it all fits together like we prepared it earlier. You can see when we clamp it together that the glue slowly squeezes out. As I said, you won't see that excess glue once it has dried.
Okay. How long do you recommend leaving the whole thing to dry?
Ideally, just leave it overnight. Then it will definitely be good and solid.
Okay. Do you think our construction is stable enough?
No, we should really give it more support. We have quite a long lever here.
Yes.
It could happen that the dowel joint might weaken and then break. You can take a bracket like this one and attach it here on the back, or reinforce it a bit with a triangular piece of wood or a square length of wood. It's really up to you. To give our rabbit the best possible stability, we opted for metal brackets. We simply screw them on and then paint over them with our base colour. Let's get rid of these clamps.
Let's do that. Then we'll see the result in all its glory. Now we place the pot on the base plate as the rucksack. Marco, I think the rabbit looks fantastic.
Yes, it turned out well.
It definitely did. And now I'm going to take the rabbit outside and look for a nice spot in the garden, plant a nice flower in it and then see how it looks. Thank you so much for working on this with me. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
And I couldn't be happier with the finished product. If you like this video, why not give it a like? Even better, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. We're already looking forward to the next project. Stay curious. And bye from me, Toby.